Um, so you guys go back to the Iron Tulip. Meet up with Dandy, very drunk. I think Connor suggested going and taking your rest. Um, you only have to sleep half as much as everyone else.
Right.
Um, if I recall, your full hit points.
I think I'm -6
Oh, okay.
of my max or whatever. But
You're
yeah, I didn't take much damage during
yeah.
that whole thing.
You're still in good health.
Yeah.
You're not exhausted. But you certainly had a long day. Um, do you want to um, I guess like sneak back out? Or do you want to rest and then go out?
Because I'm thinking, yeah, like I think wake up early might make a little bit more sense because I think like what might happen, like I said, Revelor's had a hell of a day, so he probably like just like I said wants to go meditate and like
Sure.
fucking relax and like
Yeah.
take in all this shit. But then he probably wakes up out of his meditation, probably didn't get the best meditation ever, but it was like, all right, I'm I at least rested.
Yeah.
And because he was just like, I need to go figure out more information. That probably drove him to like, okay, you know what? Like if we're gonna do it that way, be like,
Hmm.
yep, I'm gonna just go talk to him now.
Yeah.
Like I need to get this out of the way because like it's bothering me. It's weighing on my mind.
Certainly.
So
Okay. So at some point you and do you have your cat out?
yeah, I'll have my
Okay. Um, he's she's still got this like black shadow aura around her.
okay.
No one seemed to mention or pay it any mind.
Right.
Um, it looks really cool. So, okay, at some point you make your way over uh, to the temple court,
Yeah.
and uh, I identify the maybe overused symbol of the helm, the gauntlet in the eye,
Sure.
especially since you're hanging out with a follower of the helm,
Right.
a supposed chosen one. Um, Depending on the time you knock, and either Haley or the other gentleman that you guys didn't actually meet, you saw, either answers, either one of them lets you in. Um, Maybe even Cedric, depending on the time of the day. Who
Right.
knows? You They go and wake up Cedric or don't, and he comes up. Um, uh, Mr. Anju, what can I do for you?
You earlier you said that you may have more information that we might like to discuss together. Is now a good time for that?
Absolutely. Just head back to my office. You guys head back down the steps. Um, Everything looks like it was. Um, Depending on the time of day that you go, um, you may or may not see some of the um, the slaves that were brought in for rescues, um, either eating or sleeping or something. Um, and So you guys go into his office, and he lets you in, closes the door behind you guys, or behind you.
Right.
Um, yeah. What takes a seat? What would you like to know?
Well, you said you had more information about Father, possibly. I haven't seen him in a very long time, and was wondering if you had any news of him. Given the way that you inflected earlier, I assume it not to necessarily be happy news.
Were you close with your father?
Not really. When I say not happy news, I mean father's probably up to something he shouldn't be. He always was a very stubborn man. I suppose that's where I get it from. But he and I never really saw eye to eye on many things. It's one of the reasons why I haven't been home in so long.
Despite my questioning, you're, from what I know of your father, he did his best to take care of everyone. Humans and dwarves and anyone who lived there. How long has it been since you've been home?
Is this in character?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually trying to remember when, like, 'cause I don't think I ever put a hard date on when I left.
I don't think that there was a hard date. I know that you're, what,
I'm
150?
somewhere in there. I think I'm 180 something like that.
Yeah, so I mean,
So-
it's kind of up to you.
Right,
And
I mean- I'm trying to think of like elf maturity, like when around the time I would have left, because I would have been like, "Fuck you, Dad," you know, like.
which is kind of an, like, so out of character, which is kind of like
Yeah.
an interesting concept that I haven't had to think about because everyone else is so young.
Yeah,
You were alive
yeah, I think.
for the Mittalon Council.
Yeah, technically.
You know, you, like, at 150 years old,
Like, I still would have been kind of a young elf
yeah.
at the time, and I might not have been paying attention. But it would have been like, you know,
It's probably like in the back part of your,
it would have been like I grew up in the '90s, so it would have been like me knowing about Bill Clinton. I knew that was a person, you
yeah,
know, but like I didn't know much about him. And
yeah.
I'm just like, okay, I knew he existed though.
But you would know more than someone who was born in 2000.
Yeah, exactly. Who was like,
Yeah.
oh, like I learned about that in school. It's like, all right,
I have not thought about that. Like,
Yeah.
you would, I mean, you are proficient in history,
yeah,
so, like, if, by all means, if there's ever something I say, you
Right.
can history check it,
sure, okay, yeah,
and I can, either DM it to you or,
yeah.
it would be really dramatic and make everyone leave the room,
Well, that's fun. Like,
or like whisper it to you.
yeah, well, that's kind of fun. I like almost don't like. That's one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to do this before or after everyone
Yeah.
else, because I didn't want to interrupt the session.
No.
The limited time that we get already just
Yeah.
to do my personal thing. Even
Yeah.
though that like I need everyone to leave the room. That's fun.
It is certainly fun for like just like a quick.
Yeah.
But no, this definitely needed to be like a one session, and I'll encourage all of the players, like,
Yeah.
if there's something that like appears relevant or something, if you want to go shopping while everyone's asleep, like just fucking do it
Yeah,
with
right.
everyone else.
Just say like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer the question, Cedric's question, I'm thinking like, because I want to put it, because what elves live to like maybe 700 years, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even longer.
So let's make it this way. So, the council was formed, what was it, approximately like 100 years ago,
Yeah.
right? So 20 years into the council, Mittalon died.
Right.
And then 2 years after that, the council dispersed and started their own things.
Yeah.
And you know that your family was a part of like the high council, high society of Adroxia.
Right.
So at that point, you would be approximately 72 years old.
Like around the time that happened. Okay.
And then when the war struck, you would have been 130. So 50 years. Yeah. So there's, 50 years from the time that all like the council quit being a thing
Right.
and the war. So your family would have arrived in Odroxia in your 70s.
Okay.
I feel like you'd have a pretty good memory on that.
Yeah. That's a good point.
You wouldn't have kept up with everyone, and you wouldn't be privy to all the knowledge of the council members.
Right.
Um, and likely just because like the way that I think about it, I can't remember the people who were on my team when I worked at
Right.
5 years ago. I can't remember all of their names.
Sure.
So like equally like that stuff's gonna fade away after so many years. So some of the names might sound familiar,
Right.
but you might kind of miss a few steps.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of like if it would make more sense for me to have left before the war or after the war started.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure which.
I guess I'm trying to like patch plot holes.
Yeah. I'm trying to help too, because like I'm like, okay, yeah, like I want this to make sense, like, but yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, it obviously wouldn't have been more than a century, because I would have been like 80 about a century ago. So yeah, I'd say probably, I guess just to make it vague, so we can change it if we need to say like, oh, probably, just shy of a century, not quite a century. So we can say that could be anywhere between like 80 and 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to get back in character, yeah. So nearly a century I've been gone.
As a human, I'm always very jealous of your guys' time. At some point, the infrastructure in Adroxia had failed. At some point within the last century. And while Adroxia kept the High Council, they made one person in charge. Ephemeral was crowned king. And your family, you're part of the royal family. When the war broke out, while Ephemeral and the Council of Adroxia and the leadership in Duvencrane elected to remain as neutral as possible, Grana went on the offensive. The Queen started having humans, dwarves, and anyone that wasn't Elvish or Fey descent murdered, killed on sight, burned alive, horricious, making it the first territory that had, by Iornians, standing, had to be the first territory to be reclaimed. While it was reclaimed and is now under the government of Iorn, the elves or Feykind that remained to live there are left to just live there. Grana was made their capital due to something worth protecting. The only thing I know about it is the tree of Kamasilva. I don't know what it is. Could just be a big tree.
Would I know anything about that?
Make a history check. Oh. Did I give you dice already?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
I stole some earlier just in case. 15.
15?
Yeah.
Yeah. The tree of Kamasilva is not actually a tree. It is a crack in space and time. It is a portal to the Feywilds. Grana was made their capital to protect it. And the humans have no interest in it. They don't even begin to understand what it is. So it doesn't affect them. So they let them do their thing.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and basically, yeah, I'm gonna tell that to Cedric. Let Cedric know. Yeah. So this tree is not actually a tree. It's a portal to the Feywilds. In fact, it's very important to the Elvish people. But humans don't seem to have much interest in it, or nor much understanding in it. But I suspect that's why it's so important to the elves.
That would make sense. You would know from like readings or just communication that they call it the Tree of Kamasilva.
Yeah.
Because the Kamasilva was the first queen of Grana, or just at least of Eferon.
Yeah.
But as Mittalon began to become civilized, was overthrown, and she fled into the portal. However, the portal is not just like, this big open void. It literally looks like a crack starting from the bottom, and it actually cracks and branches out like a tree.
That's so cool.
And it's one of the it's not a well kept secret, but it is a secret.
Okay.
To anyone who makes Elvish history or anything like that, like, part of their interest, they would probably come across information about it.
Okay.
But by all means is not a tourist site.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay.
So the Queen of Grana, after the Ionian army invaded, she fled. Not before taking on a name for herself as the Condemner. At some point, she made her way across Eferon and wound up in Agraxia with no power over the city or state, but a safe haven. About 3 months ago, I had heard word from a captain that people were being sent to aid in the rescue of other humans and dwarves. I don't know the how or why, but they found your father. And they killed him.
Revalor kind of is going to sit back a little bit in his chair and just let that sort of wash over him a little bit. My father's dead. I thought this moment would be happy for me, and yet all I can feel is grief and shame. Strange. On the one hand, I feel like I should have been there for him. But on the other hand, if I were, I might be dead now as well.
Potentially. In the vacuum left by your father's absence, it was up to the Council of Adroxia and the remaining part of your family to lead the city, lead the state of Ephron. Unfortunately, the next of kin has been missing for about a century.
And because I've already been kind of hitting that direction, as he's been kind of saying this, like even before he kind of quite got to that point, Revalor's kind of getting a look of realization on his face. It's my fault. He says this out loud. It's my fault. This is my fault.
Don't blame yourself. You didn't know.
True. But I suppose now that I do, it's about time to take some responsibility. I suppose it's almost poetic at a time like this. My father's words come back to me. No elf has demons that he himself did not create.
I don't know a lot about what's gone wrong in the last 3 months. But what's happening to these people is the beginning of what happened to Grana. I suspect the Condemner may have something to do with this. It doesn't make sense to me. With her reputation, she would have killed all of your family.
No. either she's less involved than we think, or she has a very compelling reason not to kill my whole family. Perhaps she hopes to control them. After all, if my family is in fact the royal family, perhaps she needs to keep some of them around as figureheads of some sort. Hard to say. Perhaps my father, being the strong-willed man that he was too hard-headed to be reasoned with, or to be blackmailed or threatened. But maybe the rest of my family, especially after the death of my father, was a little bit easier to deal with. And having them around would grant some legitimacy. I don't know, I've been away far too long, clearly. My father's dead. He always said I'd be the death of him. Well, what's the next step? Obviously, I can see you're doing your best to help those that you can, but this is a problem that requires far more than just rescuing a few people here and there. The situation calls for much greater action to balance the scales.
And unfortunately, only a couple weeks after your father's passing, our temple in Adroxia was shut down, demolished. I don't know.
You just haven't received word, or
We haven't received word, and our teleportation circles don't connect us. We haven't gotten any letters. I would hate to think of what happened to all of them. While Helm is the human god of protection, Helm is human. But Helm is the god of protection. We're always so easily confused to be a racist outcast of religion. We just simply want everyone to be treated correctly, everyone to have the same chance for a better life. And stealing malnourished and beaten slaves to travel through the icy tundras and the mountains and all the incredible beasts through Ephron's forests in between Adroxia and Duvencrane is no small feat. Especially unnoticed.
you've done quite well.
It's never enough.
Favorite won't be. I'm sorry, I'm thinking like a little bit out of character here because like I've told you how my mind works and the groundwork is being laid where at the very least like Revalor definitely feels like there's a bit of responsibility there as much as he's tried to kind of run away from that. Like his inaction and kind of gallivanting has sort of like indirectly caused a lot of shit to happen.
Yeah.
So he's kind of taking this all in. Just
as you're like internalizing and deciding on what you think might be the best course of action, or even just choosing your next words, you hear a couple of dings, and you'll excuse me. I'm
of course.
still right here, and he's just shuffling papers and doing his mail delivery service. um, he takes a few minutes to put that stuff in, and if you're watching him, it's a few vials of this, and some foods, and every once in a while you'll smell something, and at one point like he pulls out like a whole mace, puts it into a different box, and like the boxes are like this big.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's, has there been any word of the rest of my family? Do they yet live that we know of?
That we know of, everyone else is still alive.
Concerns me. I hate to think what the rest of my family is going through right now. For all I know, they may be helping. It could be that my father, stubborn as he is keeping everyone else in line. Perhaps I judged him too harshly. But that's youth for you, I suppose.
You think that the rest of your family would do these atrocities?
As I said, I've been away for a long time. I'd like to think that my family would not be capable of this sort of thing. I would hope, at least at worst, maybe they're under duress, cooperating just to stay alive. But I don't know anymore. Mother always did have a bit of a fiery temper, and Sothrel did inherit some of that. My brothers, I don't know. My brothers took more after my father, I suppose, but um, I'd like to think that my family would never involve themselves in such a thing, but times like these, one cannot afford to be idealistic. I may have to confront aspects of my family I never hoped to.
I pray that the rest of your family is okay.
Well,
I don't know who or what has caused such a shift of demeanor. But this is the worst the war has gotten since we stopped the horrors at Grama.
Well, we're kind of. I'm assuming he's kind of been sitting down just this time for like in the office, and he stands up and kind of clenches a fist and looks away, and then looks at Cedric in the eyes and says, "Maybe it's time we started doing something more about that."
What do you have in mind?
I don't know yet, but I know. I know I need to make it to the Elven country. I need to find my family, find out what's going on. And I know I'm going to need a good disguise because I don't know if I had a hood on at this point or not, but I'll say I had a hood on. I took it off because clearly the red hair. If the red hair gives me away to you, then it will surely give me away to the elves.
There's two things that give away a member of your family: your hair and your ears.
Are my ears different from normal elf ears?
No, they're just elf ears.
Oh, they're just elf
Yeah.
ears. Okay.
Because half elves have so full elves have like really
Like
long,
the long,
pointed.
like Hylian.
Yeah, half elves are like much shorter and rounded.
Yeah.
And then just humans are.
Yeah. Like normal elves,
Yeah. Um.
I'm almost regretting not taking there was an allergy invitation. I was going back and forth, and one of them was use disguise self at will.
Oh.
And I was like, that'll be next level, or next time I get a
Sure.
invitation. But in the meantime, fuck.
I can get you to Duvenfring. I can get you and Connor and the rest of your party.
Well, that will take some convincing on my part. I know at least one other member of our party has an interest in going there. But I would appreciate any help I can get.
What set you on my path?
Sorry, what set you on my path?
Yeah. How did you meet Connor?
Now that you mention it, it was very strange. The village I met him in, there was a boy carting around this giant pot, sort of a vase, and it was smoking. And I thought it was a bit of a strange sign at the time, and I was about ready to not pay it much more mind. No one seemed to react strangely to it. And I saw what I later realized to be the symbol of Helm in the smoke. And it was very prominent and a very strange thing to see at the time. It was something I'd never seen before, and no one else seemed to be seeing the same thing. And when I happened to run into Connor, he was wearing a medallion with the same symbol.
This one?
Yes, and it's it just struck me as important at the time. I couldn't tell you why necessarily, but it was as if something was trying to communicate something to me. So I followed Connor for a time, and I suppose I've sort of been swept up in a bit of a bit of an adventure, for lack of a better word. Although this particular adventure, it's not as fun as it usually seems in the stories.
Believe it or not, I have some experience in adventures. I spent quite a few years wandering around Iorn before I found the helm. I've dedicated the last 30 years of my life to it. I look back and I only see the fun times. The drinking at the tavern with all of my friends. Never a worry or a bother to think that they wouldn't be there the next day. It's enlightening knowing what life can be and why it's worth protecting.
Well, seeing as how we're in a church, I suppose it's only appropriate that I pray that one day I reach a moment where I can look back on this adventure with the same feeling that you have for yours, not worrying about the terrible parts, but remembering the good parts. Unfortunately, in the meantime, it looks like we have some dark work to do.
Indeed, we do.
And with that, I think I'm going to get up. I think I'm going to try to get back before I'm missed, assuming that I snuck out. And I guess if I didn't, maybe people are waiting. It's like they've probably been waiting for a while. So, unless you had anything else that you wanted to tell me or anything else you wanted to ask me.
Did you look at the writings under the conch?
I didn't even realize that there were writings under there.
So, the conch that's identical to Dandy's,
Right.
he, like a normal person, held a conch up to his ear to hear the ocean.
Right.
Something that Dandy has yet to do. Which was why it was really funny that he wasn't there for that. And he hears not only the water rushing, but he hears someone talking. And he's done his best to write down what they're saying. But it's about the equivalent of trying to write down a spoken language that you don't speak.
Okay.
And while you guys were there, he expressed that like he doesn't have the slightest clue on what that language is. He's made out a few words. I don't know if you wrote that down.
I don't know if I did. I mean, if I did, it won't be here.
And like the names that he,
I do remember there were a lot of names. That's right.
yeah, they were names of lore around Mittalon, like including Garmoth.
Right.
But the rest of it he couldn't understand and was that's not the person I was looking for. Cedric, there he is. He expressed his he expressed that it was upsetting for him because he speaks 6 languages. And he doesn't know what they're saying.
I like this too in a way because it's really clever. Because like, or maybe it's just convenient, I suppose. Because even if I were to like get comprehend languages, or there's literally a indication that you just understand all languages, it wouldn't matter because it's him writing the phonetic sounds of the language he doesn't understand, so it still wouldn't translate. That's great. I love it.
It would be a 2-person thing.
You can't. Yeah, like you.
One person would have to read out the words, the vowels, but in continuation, he doesn't know if it's 1 word, if it's 2 words, if it's a sentence.
Yeah, so if he pronounces it incorrectly or something, it's like, well, now I missed those words.
So basically, whoever speaks the language that they're speaking, someone has to read it out loud, and then do their best to interpret it.
Right. Oh man, that's crazy.
When I thought of that,
That's great. So you thought of that on purpose. That's great.
Vaguely, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Because I would really love for you guys to crack this code.
Sure.
But it'll take a hot minute.
And I do like that it's there too, because like that was my first thought, was just like, oh, well, you know, they're like, and my character would probably have enough knowledge because he's arcana and proficient. Like, oh yeah, there are spells that you can use for this sort of thing. But like, yeah, trying to take, like I said, a phonetic, like, it would be like writing phonetic Japanese. And then like trying to get characters out of that.
Yes.
You can't like.
Nope.
No. Like, you have to go, once again, you have to go to a Japanese speaker. Hope you could speak the English phonetic Japanese well enough that they would like be able to translate it for you. Like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he would ask you if you gotten a chance to look at the writings, and if you want, since we're kind of doing this one-on-one,
sure.
If you want, you can try to identify the conch.
That was my next thing, is I was thinking of maybe trying to do that. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, that's just a ritual, I think, that I have. So yeah, let's double check. Taps. There we go. Oh, that's not spells. That doesn't help me.
You're proficient in Arcana, right?
I believe so. Yes, Arcana, History, Investigation, Perception, Religion. Okay.
So you take the few minutes to cast your Identify spell on the conch. and it's a very simple tool. You're able to determine that it's of um, this hasn't come up at all yet. And I don't know if this would be a history or a nature check.
Well, do you want me to succeed at it or no? Because if I mean I'm not terrible with nature, but I'm not proficient. But I am proficient with history, so I guess it. Or yeah, I mean I guess it's just whichever makes the most sense.
Okay. Let's do both.
All right.
Roll history first.
Okay.
Nope.
Or neural nature.
Roll nature first.
Okay. Oh, that's a 3 even with my bonus.
Okay.
That was a nat 1 with my +2.
Okay.
So fuck.
Through your identify spell, you are able to determine that it is a tool for mermaids or sirens to use to lure people in. It essentially allows them to use a charm spell. However, it is also used to communicate through long distances of time, or of not time, long distances of
Right. Just could be communicated over
long distances. Yeah. Sorry, there's supposed to be a period there.
Yeah.
And with being able to determine that it's it's a shell.
Yeah.
And that it's a tool made by and used for sirens or mermaids, that it came from somewhere with water. And that's about it.
Fucking.
You don't need that history or you don't need the history check.
Just because the first one failed, so like I won't have context for the history anyway.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I don't think I think the last nat 1 I got was like a to hit roll.
Oh, was that a natural 1?
That was a nat 1.
Oh, wow.
That was it was because I got the +2 from my I don't know whatever ability score was tied to nature. I had a +2 on that. And so that was a nat 1 nature check. Nope.
You don't really learn anything about it that Cedric doesn't know.
Okay.
He appreciates you looking there. Let me know if there's anything that I can do or the church. If there's anything that you need, Connor knows where to find us. But you're also welcome here.
Thank you. And Revalor goes to leave, hesitates for just a moment, looks back, and then gives Cedric kind of just looks at Cedric, nods, and then kind of leaves. And I'm gonna just, for your insight, just what happened there is Revalor just thought about the demon that's fucking controlling him, because there's a man of the cloth offering to help him with anything he might need help with. And so Revalor just had a moment of like, well, I do have this demon problem, but that might be a little bit much for right now.
Maybe that's tomorrow's problem.
Maybe, I don't know if, there's already been enough suspicion around me. I don't know if I'm ready to drop the fact that I have a demon on this guy.
Do you, when you go around, do you typically just have the cat up on your shoulders?
Yeah. typically, unless I'm specifically setting it to do something, or
Sure.
like because like I give it kind of like free reign if it wants to like
Yeah.
go investigate stuff or whatever. But like typically it's just up on my shoulder when it's not doing stuff.
Okay. So you leave his office and you go back up to the temple. And do you leave?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll leave and just kind of say farewell to whoever's at or around the door on my way
Sure.
out. Um, Pull up my hood and head back to the inn.
Okay.
Or I guess I'm heading back. If we're doing it in a different context, then I'll head back to instead of leaving. I guess I'll head back to the party.
Okay.
If that happens. And yeah.
Um, After you are free from the temple court, you hear what sounds like behind you. I knew I chose correctly. Revalor, the king.
And I'm just gonna clutch my clothes a little bit and just
You look over your shoulder, it's
Yeah.
your cat's head.
right, exactly. I know it's like my cat sitting there, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like trying not because like I've tried to like ignore some of these as best as I can.
Uh-huh.
But like this one kind of got to Revalor a little bit. And it's like, oh Jesus, like, oh man, and like trying to not visibly be like upset because there are probably people around, whether it's my party or whether it's like out on the street, and trying not to look like the crazy man that he kind of is.
Regardless of what time of day it is, the so the temple court is um, opposite side of the city,
Yeah.
from the bazaar and um, like okay, so if the city was like leveled,
Yeah.
you would have um, the high. I can't remember the words I chose. Genova. So you'd have the Highland District,
Yeah.
the royalty homes, and then just like if there was a connector between them, it would be the Temple Court
Okay.
going to the Flat Top District
Gotcha.
of like the residential homes and stuff like that, and then below that would be the bazaar, the pit, most of the um, varying taverns and inns and restaurants and stuff like that. Um, and you see, interestingly enough, um, if it is the evening, all of the built shops are closed, and um, a lot of the vendors are like packing up carts.
Right.
But there's an equal amount of vendors opening carts. Um, and um, you still smell wonderful foods. You still see all sorts of interesting creatures. Um, you you even see a tabaxi that you haven't seen since you left Efferon. Large feline person.
Right.
Um, and um, you you walk by probably what you think is probably making this area smell the best is a kind of dug in built-in restaurant, um, still open. There's still a bunch of lights in, and it's called Ramsey's. And you just hear a lot of screaming. You're not sure what's going on. There's a sign out front, um, saying um, fresh bison and bison and eggs. Um, and like the place is crowded. There's a lot of people in here. They're all sitting at tables, eating and having a good time. It's not like screams of terror or anything like that.
It's just people
Like
shouting over each other
yeah,
and talking.
kitchen stuff. Um, but yeah, they seem to be having some sort of deal on bison and eggs and um, I know that Revalor is not. I know Revalor wanted to. Hmm. There's something that I want to happen.
Sure.
Like rolling this dice is gonna make me feel better. And I'm trying to decide if this is gonna be the best way to do it. You know what? I'll let your dice decide. As you get back to the Iron Tulip, and depending on how you roll,
Okay.
this might determine on when you did it, when you left.
Okay, and then we can
roll a perception check.
18 with my bonus.
Okay. After everyone had gotten back, Creorn, Connor went to bed. Dandy and Otar stayed in the tavern. As you get back up to the Iron Tulip, you see a short, hooded creature standing up on his tiptoes, looking into the window. And as you're kind of passing by, the only people you can see from the window is Dandy and Otar. And as you pass by, just kind of interestingly looking at this creature, it turns around, the hood falling back a little bit. You see golden eyes, green skin, floppy ears. It's just wearing a cloak and a large book, like how your satchel is, but
Yeah.
at the end of your satchel is just a large book, and it's just looking at you. It's hesitating.
Gosh, is that all correct on this?
It appears to be a goblin, but it's clean. It's not dirty. It's got clothes. It has a book. You can engage it, or you can head inside.
I'll go ahead and engage. Hello there. Can I help you with something?
Hi. Do you want to buy the stars?
The stars?
Mhm.
What kind of stars would I be buying?
Let me see your hand.
I kind of look around. Okay. I'll hold out my hand.
And you've seen a lot of people do palm readings and stuff like that.
Sure.
And he's kind of looking at your palms, looks at you, and sees past you,
Okay, sure. Yeah.
And then focuses on the cat. Oh, I have the star for you. Looks up and he points. As he points, you swear you see the star actually shine brighter. He goes, yeah, yeah. Opens his book, starts flipping through pages, and it's like to us, Grant and
Yeah.
Damien, it looks like the fakest freaking gold lined freaking like you bought a star certificate. Um, but for time appropriate, it actually looks like a deed to a house or a deed to land. Like it looks like, and it's actual gold around.
Right.
Um, and it, um, it's got some fucking mumble jumble jarmble on there.
Right.
But it says, I guess how do I want to say it? It's essentially saying it is star number 592,752.
Okay.
59.
92752.
Yes.
I was just typing around it so I'll have context. I typed the number first, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to type things around it so I know what that is.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you want to buy? Oh,
I'm going to laugh uproariously, and I'm going to say, all right, how much?
50 gold.
50 gold. You know what, Goblin? You've tickled me. All right. You've got yourself a deal.
Yes.
God, I love nat ones when they work with the story.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom, okay. Let me, oh shoot. Wisdom. Oh, good. Good, I have pluses in those. Oh, Jesus, not enough, though. Well, maybe. Oh, actually, with my plus, that might be alright. 16?
Okay. So you exchange the gold over, and he hands you this certificate. And as you lay your hand on their certificate,
Yeah.
you watch as it kind of flashes with a bit of gold.
Sure.
And your name, your full name, perfectly spelled, is inlaid onto this certificate. And as the exchange, as you see that flash, in that flash, you see Connor's face, Creorn's face, Dandy's face, Otar's face. And then the words are there.
All their names? Or
You see their faces.
Their faces. And then
like at the forefront of your mind, like
Yeah.
they're right there in front of you for a
Yeah.
split second. You bring them. Connor, Creorn, Dandy, Otar. They buy stars.
I'm kind of still holding the paper and kind of like reeling from like that momentary, just probably half a second flash of everybody all at once in my head.
Yeah.
And then bring them in a second. And I'm kind of a little bit struck. Perhaps I will. And I kind of put it hastily in my bag. Perhaps I will, so that they may buy stars as well. And then I'll head back inside.
Yes, yes.
Or I'll make to head back inside. Yeah.
He resets his hood and starts peeking through the window again. And as you walk inside and kind of like trying to regain from everything that's happened today, you look back out the window. He's not there.
Of course.
You still have the certificate.
Right. Add that to my inventory later too. I have indeed to a star. Okay.
Okay, so do you go up to your room to so yeah, you
At this point, I snuck out.
yeah,
Or-
so
okay.
you snuck out
Like early.
no.
Oh no, late.
Yeah, so you postponed your bedtime and
Got you. I
went
snuck.
and
I
did this.
snuck out after everyone else went to bed.
Yep.
And I guess maybe Dandy and
You
Odar might still be in the bar, or I guess they are.
Yeah, they are in the bar. You tried to rest, but there was
Yeah.
too many questions running through your mind.
So yeah.
So you
And
went
that
to
makes
investigate.
perfect sense. Yeah.
And as you get up to your room, you're just looking at this thing, like, what the hell did I just do? Make an Arcana check.
Okay. I think I have a 5 in them. What's that? Yep, it's +5. So, good grief, this has been rolling weird today. Oh, ooh. 21.
Really?
Yeah.
It is magical.
Okay.
There is something magical about this scroll.
Okay.
If you want to take the time to identify
about
it.
To say, like, can I? Unless you were gonna say anything else that I noticed just offhand, but like, I will go ahead and identify it, so that'll be moot, I suppose.
As you identify it, there's only one thing that you can understand about this scroll. All of the words and all the fancy writing and everything is gone. There's just symbols and words, and like none of it makes sense, but the entire paper from edge to edge, top to bottom, is just covered in different words, maybe even different languages. You don't know.
Right.
But it has one magical ability. It follows you in death.
Holy crap.
So, if you die, wherever you go, that scroll goes with you. As long as it is on your person or in your bag of holding, whatever. As long as it's on you, it will go with you.
That's fantastic. Alrighty then. Well, after that increasingly weird-ass day, Revalor is going to once again attempt to meditate.
Okay. You're exhausted. I mean, you conk out. It might not be a restful meditation, but
Right.
like you get your long rest and
Hey, I can push the long rest.
Yep. I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna let everyone else do that because they presumably are just going to bed. But that was just kind of undetermined.
Right.
The plot thickens.
I feel spoiled because I get D&D twice,
Oh.
essentially, this week.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. I get to do it now, and I get to do it tomorrow. Oh.
All right.
That was fun.
I'm going to end this.
Yeah.